group chat. I am Justin Verrier, and joining me, Rob Mahoney, j.kyle Mann. Kyle, did you prepare any grievances or any documents you want to share? I just want to make sure you have the time here.
1 week ago today, I was terrified in the darkness by a feral cat. Let the record show.
But and therefore could not podcast famously.
I've tried to avoid all wild animals. So it's been a much calmer night, So yeah.
We're happy to hear it. Rob?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have any documents? Any airing of grievances?
Not a single one. I'm feeling great. I love both of you. I love NBA basketball. I'm ready to participate in our podcast today.
One important thing though is Reed Shepherd. I don't want to overreact, but first team All NBA. I mean, it's in the air, I think, right?
Yeah,
I think
you're not ready to rule it out, is what you're saying.
We couldn't. It'd be bad science, I think, at this point to rule it out. Yeah.
Yeah, I think since we questioned the Rockets' offense and Reed Shepherd in particular, and by we I mean mostly me, but you guys by proxy, they've been pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
So that's been cool.
I think we'll have to return to them at some point. But while we're on our relative hobby horses, Justin, I was wondering if you had any feelings about, Basketball Reference has the very handy MVP tracker over the course of the season. Who's in the mix based on their statistical performances, who's playing well, who should actually be in the MVP conversation. Josh Giddey had been surprisingly hanging around.
Let's go.
The fake MVP odds, but I regret to inform you, has slipped all the way out. The Jalen Durans, the Isaiah Hartensteins have supplanted him. Wow. But what can you do? I just wanted to know if you had a comment about that at this time.
He didn't even make it to our 1 month awards. He's not even going to be on the ballot.
He could be back.
Yeah. Is D'Angelo Russell on there?
I can assure you not.
Who crossed him over? Who was it? Was it Donovan that crossed him over? Who the other night?
He fell over. Yes.
No, he got crossed.
The propaganda has begun.
He got crossed out of the MVP tracking. That's what happened. I'm trying. It was Mitchell, wasn't it? I'm trying to remember who it was. Either way,
I think it was. Yeah. And listen, this is just the ebbs and flows of the NBA season, right? You're gonna have some down nights where you fall flat on your face, and you're gonna have other nights where you look like the MVP of the league. I'm just used to this. Maybe you're not because you're new to the Giddey experience, but overall, still on the positive side, which is probably better than we had hoped it being at this point in the season. I mean,
unquestionably still on the positive side. I mean, he ultimately could be in certainly all-star. I think all NBA might be a bit much at this point, but you know what? When you're right, Justin. I think we're gonna have to back off and respect both you and Josh Giddey for once.
We need that as the drop after the Portland change one. We need Juice just telling me I'm right over and over again.
I'll send it to you as a voice note so you can play it for yourself whenever you need.
It was DeAndre Hunter, by the way, for the record. I want to make sure I always want to make sure DeAndre Hunter gets his cred. I'm known for that. So Isaiah cleared that up. Thanks, Isaiah.
You're listening to the Ringer NBA show presented by FanDuel. FanDuel now displays your bet directly on your phone's lock screen. And with the latest updates to the live events and player pages, it's never been easier to be part of the game. And Missouri, get excited because FanDuel's coming your way December 1st. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app now and play your game. 21 plus and present in select states or 18 plus and present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. Well, glad we got all this league-wide talk out of the way early because on today's podcast,
got it. Yeah.
We had the entire league. We covered it all in 4 minutes of totally cool banter. But we're doing all rookies today. We have the foremost young player expert. Kyle, what would you say? Young player fetishist, perhaps?
That doesn't sound good.
That word
I don't like
really.
That. No.
No, I didn't really have that word at the top.
Like
of the
I'm young.
list.
What you say? Yeah.
All right. Justin, I don't even have words for you. Your pre-show discussion was inappropriate. Now you're talking about fetishes and things.
Yep.
I think you need to rein it in and get control of yourself. I like to watch players develop. I mean, if you want to pervert that in some way, Verrier, I'm sure you'll find a way. But
see, Kyle and I stand on the side of progress. We like to see the times marching forward, Justin. Whereas, you're not as interested in these things.
You in Portland over there, you guys.
we're very progressive about many things. Perhaps not the rookie class is one of them. There's just too many to get through. But we're going to talk about a lot of rookies. We've already done so thus far over the first couple pods of the season because the rookies have been so prominent this year. I was actually trying to think about this. This is probably the most intriguing rookie class, I would say, in a very long time. The only one I can really think of, Kyle, is like maybe 2021, because that class is ending up being just stocked with contributors. But I don't remember it being immediately like appointment viewing. Like Mobley was like fine. Cade was like figuring himself out. Now we have like Flagg was awesome. Harper before he got hurt was awesome. There's just like a lot to watch even on a given night.
Yeah, there was a lot of shakeup in that draft. A lot of guys that kind of moved up. Obviously, Şengün. It's funny that OKC originally drafted him and traded him, but Giddey moving up, Barnes moving up. He obviously has his fans and befuddled detractors. Trey Murphy was one that I really underestimated and whiffed hard on that one. And then Cade and Jalen Johnson, another one who kind of came out of the woodwork and became a serious player. So definitely not chalk on that one, but this one at the top, I mean, if you're just kind of looking at the early returns, there's one worrisome guy that I think we'll get to that is, but I don't even know if it's even like bona fide worry. I think of the top 10 guys, there's nobody that I'm watching and I'm just thinking, oof, like there's trouble here. Like there are still paths, I think, for even the guys who are not having a great start to get to a serviceable place.
Well, and because you had multiple teams jumping in the lottery order, some of these rookies are just playing massively important teams for teams that actually do matter. And, sometimes that's for better and worse. I'm sure we're going to get to it very soon with Cooper, for example, and everything he's being asked to do. But the rookies are in the spotlight right now. Like they're relevant NBA contributors from this class in a way that I know I certainly didn't anticipate, Justin.
Yeah, well, let's start with Cooper right off the top here because their Mavs are unfortunately probably the story of the NBA right now for all negative reasons. Rob, I think people expected, especially after the start that they got off to, that the Mavs might struggle this year. Mm-hmm. I think the thing that's been most jarring is that they just aren't fun at all. Like the Flagg experience, he has moments, but it just feels like a bit of a slog, even like there is no like fun young rookie situation. Like I was thinking back to Zion, for instance. The Pels were awful, but he would have these moments that just felt like earthquake ripples that you just had to like pay attention to. Flagg's had moments, but he hasn't really had that. And as a result, like the Mavs just feel like just like a catastrophe. All the bad things start to go to the foreground as opposed to some of the exciting young player stuff.
Remember when Zion hit 4 threes in a row in that
That's
first
exactly
game?
What I was thinking about. That was incredible.
I mean, they could use some of that from Cooper right now. Anyone who could hit a 3 at any point in time would be nice for the Mavericks. But it's hard to have those sort of breakout moments, even as a young player, when your team is this sludgy, this stuck in the mud, this absolutely desperate for anyone who can handle the ball, anyone who can make space whatsoever. Like right now, I would like for the two of you to guess for me, how many Dallas Mavericks are shooting better than 30% from 3? 30%.
Oh boy.
Kyle could walk on a basketball court right now
30
and shoot 30% from 3.
Not me.
No, absolutely not.
Rob's seen my thumb and jumper. Yeah, I can get 30. Yeah, it's ugly as hell.
Do it underhand or something. I'm going to guess 2.
It is exactly 2. Max Christie, Jaden Hardy. Those are the only players. I'm not even talking about league average. 30% from 3. Cooper is among them. And sometimes he's just being asked to take a lot of jump shots that even he doesn't really want to take because there's no plausible way to get to the rim within this offense right now. And that, my friends, is why the Dallas Mavericks are the single worst offense in the entire NBA already this far into the season. And even when you get Anthony Davis back full time and all your Derik Lively, everyone back and healthy, I just don't see the route to them being even a moderately successful offense.
Here's a stat. Ding, ding, ding. I'm going to jump in. This season, Cooper Flagg has taken 19 catch and shoot jump shots. He has taken 41 dribble jump shots. That's way off. I just don't think that can be. I think it speaks to the burden that he is carrying of facilitating. He's just not getting the easy money that he is really good at cashing in on. Now the ones that he's getting. Whenever he gets spot up threes, let's see. The spot up isn't as great either. He's not hitting those. He's not
hitting anything.
Well, he's not getting good shots.
No.
We can talk more about the nuances throughout his game. I mean, if he was getting more kind of found money in transition and things like that. He obviously looks great when he's out and running. He's looked good when he's attacking mismatches. He can post and score on smaller players, which I think you would think that would be a sort of implied thing for NBA players. It is not. He is an 18-year-old is attacking that, and I think that's a positive sign to me once there's a little oxygen in their offense that he'll be able to find those little avenues and places to be productive when he's not so burdened.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because I think optically the Mavs were in a tough spot no matter what. To have them fall on their face like this was never going to work out well for the team, especially Nico Harrison and everyone involved in the Luka Doncic trade, right? They weren't going to get goodwill. They don't deserve goodwill. They're definitely not getting it right now. As like while we're on, Mark Stein's already reporting like, might move on from Nico Harrison. Like that's going to just build over the next couple weeks. But when I watch them, without AD, without Kyrie, I'm like, this is a bad team with a rookie trying to find himself and get more opportunities than he probably should on a team that is playing with stakes. And so like, I'm sympathetic to a certain extent because I just don't know what else you would want. Like they're playing.
Well, sympathetic to whom? To Cooper or to the Mavericks more broadly?
Yeah, to all the people that weren't involved in the Luka trade. I guess if you were to really like to find some like thing to poke holes in, it was that once they turned the page to Cooper, they practically brought back the supporting cast from Luka. So there are a lot of players that typically need to be activated by someone who is a plus creator, which is why I think they're overburdening Cooper in that role.
Yes.
But other than that, like this is kind of a typical rookie experience. And so I almost wonder maybe like we're to blame to a certain extent for even the hype machine, like projecting him to be like a 25 point per game scorer or whatever people were expecting, when really he was kind of set up to be about this, I would say.
I think there's a truth to that. For one, like Cooper Flagg's game, he was always going to be more comfortable, especially out of the gate, playing in the flow, playing in transition, as Kyle mentioned. And ultimately, he has the style of game that is going to amplify other really good players, especially creators. And so when you don't have those, there's always going to be something from him, especially this early on, that's like it leaves you a little bit wanting, that is a little bit against the grain of how he should be playing or how he best plays. That is part of it. But as far as what you were saying, Justin, about like feeling for everyone who wasn't involved in the trade, I'm with you. But there's also the part of it where Nico Harrison, the guy who is responsible for the trade, is still the present tense general manager of the team. And most critically here is the guy who then took the team into the offseason and didn't bring in any guards whatsoever who could actually help them and help spell Cooper and put them into a kind of a normal formation of a team. And so when the past tense nightmares are still the present tense nightmares, this is where you're left.
Yeah, if you're looking at this team, Rob and I were talking about this the other day, where there's been a lot of just, I can't believe they're doing this to Cooper. My God, like, oh, why? And if you watch this team, this isn't some arbitrary experiment where they're just being twirling their mustache, whatever it is. Twirling, I don't know, and I've never done it. They're not just deviously saying like, let's do something and get weird here. They need him to pass the ball because obviously we know D'Lo can do a little bit of that, but and they're trying to find little ways to take the pressure of him just being ridden like a horse up the court by the on-ball defender. I mean, they'll advance it. Sometimes we'll see Nembhard bring it up. Sometimes we'll see D'Lo bring it up, and Cooper will catch it at the elbow, and then they'll get into something. They're trying to relieve him here and there, but overall, I sent you all a doc where I was just taking screenshots of what the paint looks like whenever Cooper turns the corner. And it is a crowded house. It is very, very jam-packed in there. And you could imagine how even a good, like high volume ball screen operator would have a hard time dealing with the space that they have. And like you're absolutely right that, I mean, this was when you build a machine for Luka, when you build a team for him, it's a very, there's a strict kind of guided template to how to do that. And to assume that Cooper would just plug into that and be efficient. Yeah, I mean, if you're saying like the hype, we're responsible for the hype. Yeah, I mean, I assume that he would come in and figure it out, but we still do have some time. I'm not acting like this is going to get like outrageous, that he's just going to figure it out to the extent that he's going to be an all-star level Luka type player, or even be as good as Luka was as a pick and roll player his rookie year. But I do think that it's going to get better, and he'll slowly start, because he's like is he the youngest player in the league? I think he is.
I mean, he's just wildly talented, like wildly self-evidently talented. It's just that every night he goes out, he is being put in a position to fail. Like just in his role on a nightly basis. And maybe long term, you're put through the paces of that. There's some creative additions that come from having to, like, the forcing function of working under these conditions could help him long term. I'm open to those possibilities. You can even see it when he does get into the paint. Like, Cooper Flagg's footwork inside is really clever and really interesting. And you'll see him bait guys off balance. You'll see the up and unders, the step throughs, all this stuff that I think getting used to working under these conditions could ultimately amplify things about him that are already, or were already, going to be pretty successful. But right now, it's not much fun to watch. I loathe to turn on any game involving this team at this point. I don't know when or if that could possibly change. And the part of this that I think I hate the most is that all of this point guard conversation leads to a lot of Kyrie Irving conversation. And there were quotes from Jason Kidd saying, I guess, we'll talk after Thanksgiving. We'll talk in a couple weeks. All these hints from in and around the team, putting pressure on a guy with a massive injury history coming back from a huge, significant, in many cases, career-altering injury. And now you're talking about rushing him back. Not to say that they're doing that, but there's a lot of conversation about it in a way that makes me really uncomfortable.
Same.
Yeah, it's tough because you would think that Russell could have done enough in order to provide some structure to the team. But even now that he's in the starting lineup with Max Christie, so they look like a more balanced starting lineup. They've done away for the most part with, at least to start with, the tall ball, like, what is it? East version of what the Rockets are doing. Or is Dallas east of Houston?
Come on, this is embarrassing.
Oh,
what are you doing?
I haven't pulled out my topography map in a little while. Where is it?
Jesus Christ.
Tell me where it is.
I thought you were asking what conference they're in. I was like, I think we got to cancel the show.
I look out there sometimes, and yes, like, the ball moves a little bit better than it did to start the season, but like, who's cracking the paint a lot of the time, because Russell just wants to float away and just like make passes to impress himself most of the time. I will say, in the midst of all of this, Rob is right. Like, Cooper plays the right way, like, to the point where in one game he was almost overpassing to Klay Thompson just because like, that's just what you do. Klay just wasn't on at that point, and probably he should have just taken it to himself, but like, he has those right impulses. And the one good thing actually going for the Mavs, because they literally have the worst offense in the NBA, which, big yikes, the defense is starting to balance out a little bit. At the very least, they're good on one end of the floor. And Kyle, you're seeing like what Cooper can do. Like, they have good defensive personnel first and foremost, but like, he is just everything you would want from a guy who could guard multiple positions. I think it was I forgot what game I was watching. I think it was the Pelicans, where like someone tried to take a deep three and he just like stayed down and reached out and he blocked it. It's just like, he's got the dimensions. He's very like savvy. It's just like, at the very least, they are bringing it on that end, and you can see like him within that established structure, like, starting to pop as a result.
Yeah, I think once the ball pressure gets a little bit better, and like, those things are going to start to really, really elevate it and take it to another level. Because obviously you've got all that length to block out the sun, and Cooper's really mature. I was watching them early in the season. I was like, I don't think that you're going to have like the issues that we're seeing with some of the other rookies about just getting up to the level of what is the standard for communicating, for just the pace and the speed of the actions, and what your accountability looks like at the NBA level. Like, I never thought that Cooper was going to struggle with that, because he's just very dialed in. You all were talking about him just making the right play. That's just the way he is. You were saying like D'Angelo doing things to amuse himself. There might be a situation in a blowout where Cooper's having a good time, but very rarely. Like, I mean, he's very much about he's just single-minded about trying to win basketball games. So yeah, the defensive stuff is definitely going to come. And it's been highs and lows. I mean, the OKC game, that was the one where he banged his shoulder, I think, though, where he had the 2 points. But I mean, he's had some good ones too. 22 points against the day before. Yeah, 4 assists, 4 rebounds. So he's had some good games, but it's been very up and down, like you all said.
I'm cool with where he is generally. I'm just not cool with the circumstances around him. And so like, once those things start to change, you'll see his game fall into place. And again, like, once he starts to play with other stars or other creators, he's going to look like a totally different player.
It's tough when a GM doesn't get the big stuff right or the small stuff right. Like, you see a lot of GMs that perhaps don't have like the soft skills to deal with like superstars, which clearly I don't think worked out for the Mavs last season. But then like, perhaps they're just good at finding guys on the fringes, like working the waiver wire to pluck undrafted guys, and all of a sudden you have a contributor. But they haven't gotten either part right. I mean, like, Brandon Williams is in the rotation. He's like fine. But at one point, Caleb Martin checked in, barely playing at this point, but he checked in. I was like, why aren't you Quentin Grimes? Like, especially
I think
considering
you know the
Grimes
answer for that.
didn't get extended.
Yeah.
Like, he could easily just be playing on a make good deal, just getting shots up, being that sort of like release valve, or just someone just like you could turn to create offense.
Nico Harrison's kingdom for Quentin Grimes on a qualifying offer right now. Like, are you kidding me? This is why that was a ridiculous trade then, and why, again, as you're saying, just like so many of these moves, even the micro ones, even the ones that aren't on a Luka level, like cataclysmic event, just have not been good enough, have not been like the kinds of moves you string together to build a successful team, which is wild considering they did all of those to build a finals team and then just punted it away.
That's the craziest thing, is that he did put together an insanely clever run to put together that template that we were talking about. Like, he did a fantastic job getting Gafford and PJ.
Absolutely.
PJ is the perfect 4.5 to play next to Luka. And then they go get Kyrie, and it was just like, and then now everything since then has just been disaster. Yeah.
Disaster. He's changed the fate of the NBA because he thought Luka was a dick. That's literally what happened. He just didn't like to deal with him, and he just completely changed history on the fly.
Is it even wild that he thought Luka was a dick, or was like, I don't really know how or want to talk to this guy, and therefore it's easier for my job to trade him?
I'm not going to get this guy to take Chantix or Wegovy or whatever it is to get him to stop smoking or whatever it is. I don't know. Like, Chantix still a thing? I don't know. I had a dad. My dad smokes. I remember hearing a lot of these drugs back in the day. But yeah, I mean,
that's Drug Report with Kyle Mann.
You heard it. Hey, hit me up with the best ways to smoking cessation.
Next episode, Zinpacks.
Yeah, I don't know. I forgot even where I was going with that, but yeah.
I'll say this: he didn't have a particularly good game against the Wizards. Another game that was way too close to that it should have been. But he was getting out in transition. The team overall was getting out in transition. It would be nice if the defensive success bred more speed on the other end, so they were just playing a little bit more free, because they do have a lot of athletes on this team. I do worry though when AD comes back, and it seems like he might try to go sometime this week. Like, then that's just another guy that's going to drag them down, especially now that he's just pumping iron in the offseason for some reason.
Yeah, drag them down in terms of speed, you're saying.
Speed, yes. Yeah. Better player, but just slower these days.
I mean, their ideal is to play big and bulky and not run. Like, that's what they want to do. And they also can't score inside, and they can't shoot. And there's, I think, maybe 1.5 players on this team that can dribble. So, yeah, they've got some problems. And Cooper has some problems as a result of that we've seen manifest in all sorts of ways. But yeah, I think ultimately the ups and downs so far feel, if not par for the course for a number 1 overall pick who was as highly touted as him, one who is dealing with these sorts of circumstances.
There was a play, I think it might have been against the Wizards, where Cooper made a jump shot, and they always on the broadcast cut to the close as you're going back down the court, and Cooper had this look on his face, and he just goes, he let out this big exhale, and I was like, this is, and he said it. I mean, he said this is the first time. Tim Cato was asking me, he was like, can you think of any time when they lost in the past? I was like, even his little EYBL team from Maine, they won a lot of games. So psychologically, yeah, I'm sure it's a big adjustment. And also, did you see Mark Cuban say the thing about if he had redefined or established his role? He dropped a little more of a not so subtle little thing. I don't know if that's I was gonna say, I don't know if that's the Danny Ainge, I would have gotten the superstar, but
yeah,
I hadn't really heard him say
Mark Cuban. He's been suggesting this for a very long time now, because he realizes that he's taking shrapnel for not doing enough to stop it, to put his body in front of it. And so he's going out of his way to be like, nope, wasn't me, which is I guess is fine. I would probably do the same thing to distance myself from one of the worst trades in NBA history, but also you're still a minority owner here. You're not really solving much of the issue, and your issue was selling the team in the first place. So whatever.
What a mess.
Yeah. The Ringer NBA show is brought to you by FanDuel. Get in on the NBA action at any time with live betting on FanDuel. From the first whistle until the final buzzer, FanDuel is your home for live betting. So we're looking at Monday's slate in the NBA. Pretty robust one, I would say. And of course, we're looking at, you guessed it, Portland at Orlando. Portland on, I believe, a 5-game road trip, but still on the front end. Magic are on a back-to-back at home, and they just lost to the Celtics. They might be motivated, but at the same time, they might be worn down, and Portland is guarding practically full court every possession at this point. So I'm going to take Portland +2 in Orlando. That game might be in the 80s because both of these teams might struggle to score, but I believe in the Blazers, believe it or not. I know. Bet with FanDuel because FanDuel is giving new customers $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. So just visit FanDuel.com/RingerNBA to sign up today. Play your game with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. 21 plus and present in select states or 18 plus and present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. All right, well, let's transition then to something a little bit more cheery, which is the New Orleans Pelicans. Believe it or not, since our last episode where we left them for dead, but at the very least, there are glimmers of hopes. You can look off into the horizon. And you can see a little bit of a glimmer.
Very distantly, it's gleaming.
At the very least, it's fun, which is the complete opposite of the Mavs situation, where I'm watching Derik Queen the other day, and I'm like, oh, he doesn't know what he's doing most of the time, but when he does, this is sick. And so, Kyle, former teammate of Cooper Flagg, a guy that you watched in college, what have you thought so far about Queen?
We had a moment the other night where like 3 or 4 of the Montverde guys on the TV at the same time. Liam McNeely, Derik Queen, Asa Newell, and Cooper Flagg were all out there. And the point guard is playing with DeBonce at BYU. Anyway, Derik Queen, wait, what was it you asked me even about what was the
just
first
your thoughts?
Oh, just in general? Sorry, I had to get that out. In general, brace myself against the wall here. Queen is doing a lot of what... I've been in a situation.
Wait, hold on.
What the fuck are you doing?
Was there an earthquake as you even just pondered Derik Queen?
I cut this, Isaiah. I was stretching.
I don't know. I don't know that we are cutting that.
God damn it. No. Queen has always been a tough one for me because when we were coming up, Justin read everything that I wrote about Queen like over the course of the year, where it was a balancing act of like, holy moly, the talent that this guy has. And this plays out in the games where he does this thing where, and this will describe what I'm talking about. He'll kind of move along at this kind of laissez-faire, like nonchalant, blah, 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 and then he'll catch the ball and he'll just lock in. Like last night in that game against the Spurs, you see him just kind of doing his saunter. He's like, yeah, it's cool. Everything's cool. Whatever. I got my long sleeve shirt on under my jersey. And then he catches it and you're like, oh, wow. He's like processing the game at a high level, attacking Wemby. He like refused to take no for an answer against Wemby. And you could just see him being like, I'm going to figure this out in the way that Şengün kind of goes at Wemby. But I think that's the balancing act of him. I ended up having him at 8 just because the frustrations for me never caused the bottom to come out completely, because I kept coming back to, and I think I kept coming back to those skills. And I think the interesting thing for them, and one of the conversations about them that I would throw to you all, is what position does he play? Is he actually a wing that has some inside, some interior kind of skills, or is he an interior player that is just not quite ready to stretch? Like it's hard to he's a weird player. Because he kind of projects as a hub, and we saw a lot of those things. I guess the question really is just going to come down to, will he be able to shoot it so that they can play him in more positions?
It is what makes him tantalizing and potentially frustrating down the line, that he's in that exact space. Like, I believe in the hub stuff already, right? Like, you can see the talent, you can see him already, not just processing it, Kyle, but like really mixing up the, I'm going to just like be on the perimeter doing the normal dribble, handoff, keep the chains moving kind of offense that everyone relies on, with really exciting like backdoor feeds that are hitting guys in perfect timing, perfect spacing. Like, it's amazing how quickly, just by once he started getting minutes from Willie Green, all of a sudden he's just one of the team's most important playmakers. And that is kind of the gravity of that sort of talent. But if you can't shoot, and I would say his handle is not the most reliable and certainly not as good as he thinks it is, which can be a problem in certain scenarios as he's trying to like work through traffic, or just like a little too casually against defenders who are pressing into him.
It's matchup dependent, I would say. We can get more into that.
Totally fair. But I believe in him as a hub. If he's not a hub, I don't know what he is.
I see a lot of modern Zebo in him, which I guess the immediate comp is Baby Jokic to the point where that is on his literal basketball reference page.
Sure.
I think 9 different players can claim that nickname at this point, and you could tell like when a player's reached a certain level, like then like he just gets other guys paid, just like hoping that they could be 25% of that, because we also got Young Hansen in the draft. I guess Denny Wolf is like a little bit like this, where a lot of guys are just like, oh, center who could be a hub and is just like a skilled passer.
But can you be a Baby Jokic if you like low key maybe can't score inside that much? Is that a thing? Like I just worry about Derik Queen finishing over contests from actual bigs.
Well, a lot of what we saw over the past couple of games was him just like trying to back dudes down to the point where he tried it against Klay Thompson at one point, didn't move him, but yet still tried to like do a fall away on him. It seems like the power skill combination is going to be his bread and butter. We'll see what comes later, but that's why I think of Zebo, not only because of like some of the like attributes, but also like this guy has like a spirit to him that is reminiscent of Zebo, where he's
Absolutely.
like, I want to maul you, but like, isn't this so fun? Aren't we just like, isn't this great? We're just like having fun on the basketball court.
He is funny. I was telling you all that he does have a sort of childlikeness about him. He
wears braces.
Like, yeah, I mean, he had a play last night where he had been dealing with the physicality. I mean, and we'll get into this about what Rob was saying about the handle, like where and when is it functional. When he's like, I think the biggest thing is when another team plays a modern big or play, like he had Gafford guarding him in one game. I know at one point Gafford was just not equipped to guard a guy vaguely that size who could handle the ball like that with craftiness. Yeah. And Derik's ability to use to improvise with his feet, like he's very good, and he's not like pre-scripted in a way. Like he can get towards the rim, take these big steps and cause problems, angular problems. But something that we saw in Summer League that was interesting was whenever we had Leonard Miller, whenever we get these big, like 4 or 5, like long, powerful wings in the NBA, like the Tari Eason type guys, like those players cause Derik a little bit of trouble. Like we saw Sohan annoying him, but whenever he gets a true big on him, he causes those problems. The issue is, speaking to the positional thing, Rob's just like grinning. I don't know why. I don't feel good about it. Stop grinning.
I just enjoy your takes. Is there something wrong with that?
You're our Derik Queen.
Making me paranoid here. No, always worried about
very serious basketball
what
podcast.
He's thinking. The problem is that he's not much of a rim protector, and you can't have that same like I'm kind of moving. And this was the thing I criticized him for over and over again, is just not paying attention when the ball goes up on the glass. He could just feast on the glass because his hands are so good. But just sort of locking in just a little too late on defense. Like he's not a rim protector. His hands are really good. He swipes really good. He'll just straight up rip people. But then he just he presents a lot of problems, I think, on that front in terms of you got to play a rim protector next to him, or else I think you're not going to be able to capitalize on the offensive stuff that he gets.
Yes. That's going to be the huge uphill battle for him, is can he ever become the kind of spacer and like aggressive hub on the perimeter where you can play him with another 5, or will he ever get to even like an adequate level? You know, like this is where the Baby Jokic comp is instructive. Is like, can he get to a Jokic level defensively, right? Of just kind of like being active, getting steals with those hands, like doing other things that can offset the lack of rim protection. Because I mean, Kyle, I think you were very generous in saying he's not much of a rim protector. Like he's uninterested in it. He is not paying attention to it. It is just like a part of the game that exists in a totally different dimension from him.
And he's big, but he's not massive in the way that Jokic or some of these other like true 5s we've seen come with skill come in. And we've seen this time and time again, though. If you're skilled and you're a big man, you're a 4 who needs the perfect 5 to complement you. Like, look at what's happening with Şengün, who's having an awesome season. Like, they're doing less of the double big situation, but they're still doing heaping amounts of it because it's such an advantage, and partly because Şengün just isn't the shooter there. It's just like, it's a problem that isn't going to go away, but we keep getting these big men who are skilled, but you always need to handcuff them with an actual big man. It's like it's not going to change at a certain point. And so I think ultimately he'll end up as a 4 next to a true 5. Hopefully someone who could space. We'll see if he could provide the spacing or the other guy can. But the problem overall, Kyle, is just like that Zion, a different type of player, certainly, but like he is a 4 who needs a spacing 5 next to him. And so part of the concern I had with the trade overall, if like you're giving away next year's pick, is that those guys overlap a certain degree. And unfortunately, the games where Zion has been out recently, the team has been really fun. Jordan Poole hasn't been there as well. Like
That
Fears
helps.
just seems like completely unleashed. Trey Murphy was awesome against the Spurs. Like if they just didn't show up the rest of the season, Poole and Zion, this team would at the very least be a more attractive product.
And Trey Murphy never looks more athletic than when he plays with someone like Derik Queen, who's like hitting him backdoor for dunks. It's like all of a sudden he looks like a totally different player when you have that kind of movement out there.
It's funny that they have these like facsimile versions of it's the Seinfeld Bizarro episode with Feldman. And you only see that one. Rob thinks that show's funny. I just wanted to clarify. No,
probably the best sitcom of all time. So that one's pretty good.
Okay, good to know that you like something widely accepted. It is funny that they have those guys. I know that we'll get to Fears, but the guy that always came to mind for me was he has a lot of Boris kind of in his personality as a player, where Boris would just be like, I'm not interested in what's going on right here. And then he would get in a lineup with a team of other guys who could really play. And you'd be like, is that the most skilled player of all time? like that's kind of how Derik comes and goes. It's like he's like that. And I'm still holding stock that I think he's going to figure it out.
And Justin, you're right that it's totally changed the viewing experience for the Pelicans, and everything about the feel of the team changes when a guy like this starts getting involved. And isn't just like an abstract conversation we're having about the picks that were traded to get him. It's like, no, this is a real, tangible, incredibly skilled basketball player who could do all sorts of exciting things. The fact that we're even having an actual conversation about like, can he and Zion play together in these contexts is a good conversation to have, because it's happening because Derik Queen looks good and looks exciting and looks talented. Like, I don't even care that he's trying to throw lobs from like 3/4 court. Like, I don't even give a shit. Like, keep doing it, keep pushing and pushing and see how far this thing can go.
It's unfortunate that the trade is going to linger over him for so long, because even if he was like rookie of the year, they could still easily give away a top 5 pick. And so this is going to haunt him for a while. Maybe it's motivation, we'll see, but it is fun too, because Fears on the other side of this, there is not only being fun in his own right, but also there's a nice little comparison there where you have like the slow and steady, back him down sort of big man. And then you have Fears, who is just so lightning quick, Kyle, where it's just like, his ability not only to translate his speed to the NBA level immediately, but the fluidity with which he's doing it and the start and stop stuff has been pretty remarkable thus far.
He's a smooth mover, man. That was the thing about, like, I worried. He was a guy that I pulled down that I couldn't hold steady in the same way that I did with Queen, where I was just worried about the shooting and those things that we can unpack. But in terms of him as a mover, man, I mean, absolutely, he gets wherever he wants to. He kind of reminded me a little bit of Trey Mann's start stop, how like just hard and violent it is. Granted, I think that Jeremiah is a better passer than Trey could ever dream of being already. But they both just look really comfortable in the speed of the NBA game, as like very just sort of off speed pitches, the way, Queen slows you down and then kills you with the start stop. Like, Jeremiah can play that way. I guess it just kind of comes down to a question of he is small. Like, they as a duo, I think, are just going to present some questions, because people are going to go at him. Granted, he's not a bad athlete. It's not like he's some ground bound, can't do anything kind of guy. If he can shoot the ball, it's just you run into a situation where even if you can add, we've seen with Trae Young, if you can add incredible amount of pluses, like if you're going to be a liability at one point to that, how can you climb out of that if you're going to be a smaller guy that teams go at constantly?
Yeah, I mean, he's small in terms of stature, but he's lanky. Like I think there are ways in which he can kind of offset it potentially. But I love what you're saying about the kind of changing paces, or the dueling banjos sort of effect that these two guys can have. I guess it's not dueling banjos because they're different instruments. It's a banjo and a timpani or something. Like, there's very different things.
Did you say banjo so I would understand it?
I did. I was trying to speak your language, and I just stepped right in it.
Yeah. I was like, I get it.
Is Rob not full Southern? Do you not claim
it's a different
Southern?
country? Yeah, it's different. Yeah, it's a different thing.
A touch different. I was trying to pull up. Yeah, he's not tiny. So he's about 6'3". So yeah.
But I want those two guys playing together as much as humanly possible, so that they can figure out that dynamic. Because Jeremiah Fears, incredible at making plays right now. He looks like a 19-year-old point guard when it comes to like trying to run the team, all like the time and score stuff, the game management stuff. That's a long-term project. For now, he's popping off the screen. And I mean that like literally, when he comes around a screen, like you can see the effect that it's having on a defense. You can feel all of the possibilities starting to unlock. And so the more that he and Derik Queen are playing together, figuring out what their chemistry can look like, I think that's the most exciting version of the Pelicans' future at this point.
Yeah, the size thing is pretty fascinating, though, because it is in kind of a macro sense. Like, if you're trying to build your building blocks from the jump here, and it seems like that's what Joe Dumars did, just like try to get two guys he could build around and kind of turn the page on what's been happening there. It's tough because you look around the league and there's so many teams that are just huge at every position. Like, I won't say the team in the Pacific Northwest that's doing this, but also like OKC, for instance. Like, there's just like, at a certain point, you're going to hit your head on a ceiling. And I do wonder, Kyle, like, how do you weigh just someone who could be electric versus long-term concerns, you know?
That counts as a swear jar because you did the thing where you said the F word and you refused to say the word, but you made me think of the word, so you effectively said it. So I think that counts as a swear jar for
I've had some people suggest that we need to get a Patreon going just to fund my swear jar contributions. So the people are behind me.
I'm down to do it, but you have to match. Like, I think whatever people donate, you have to match, or vice versa. Like, we got to get some system going here.
I don't make that much money. I'm not.
Well, you could talk about the Blazers less. That's a thing you could do.
No, I'll die before I do that.
No. Yeah, he's not doing that.
I'll set my garden on fire.
Oh God, no!
Wow.
I mean, simply the last thing that any of us want.
It's too wet in Portland. You wouldn't be able to set that thing. You'd just be sitting there trying to light it. You've probably never lit a fire. I had to explain that to
wow.
you. No, so
listen, I use the starter. I'm not like using rocks like you out there.
Soft hands, Justin Verrier. That's what we call him. You know.
Wow. Yeah, not a callus on there. No, I mean, it is going to be an issue. I mean, if you're going to assume that they're going to be keeping Murphy around, Missy's a big athletic guy.
Yeah.
I mean, you just kind of have to. I'll quote our guy Charks. Once you draft one and you lean in on one smaller guard, you're out of the small guard business. I don't know what that means for Alvarado. So from henceforth, every decision they make, if they believe in this duo, I guess if they do, that might say something about how they feel about Zion long term. But everything. If you believe in it, everything after this, you just kind of have to go from here. But I don't know, like Rob, where do you go from there? Is it just big lengthy wings? Do you need a better rim protector than Eve Missy? Are they? It's funny that we're going from what you all said last week to this, where we're like, do they have the blueprint? Like, well, that in and of itself is a.
If they had a top 5 pick to put on top of what they have now, they'd be in the money, my friend. Like, they'd be fucking really interesting.
The problem before was there was no lines on the blueprint, right? Like, we were just looking at a blank page as the team was like 0-7 and being like, what the fuck is this? Yeah. And now you can at least see something coming together. Will that thing work? Like, will the Queen Fears partnership 10 years from now feel like a successful one, or one that got ejected, or one that hit a comfortable middle but never fully succeeded? Those are obvious possibilities. Like, I think the most likely outcome for any pairing of rookies is that they will fail, that they're not going to reach their ultimate potential, that this will not be a pairing of all stars that will carry the Pelicans to a championship. But they could be fun and they could be exciting, and they have time and they have the opportunity to do it. So now that they're here, I agree with you. It creates a whole host of other problems you now need to solve. Like, I like Eve Missy, but like, you need an adult rim protector, frankly, like someone who is someone who's not going to jump at literally every pump fake, right? Like, if Derik Queen is going to be a little spacey and going to need time to kind of figure out defensive fundamentals, the guy you want to pair him with is somebody who's a little more responsible about when he leaves his feet.
Can't have a fouling machine next to the guy who's not totally paying attention. That doesn't work. Do we have second half of? I'm gonna here we go. Devil's advocate. Do we have second half of Spurs game boner right now? A little bit.
Yes.
Like I'm trying to just put that out there. Are we of our right mind at this moment?
They're going to lose a shit ton of games. They're going to be one of the 3 worst teams in the league, no matter what they try to do.
We're talking about, can these young guys be good and interesting? And I think they've both shown that they could potentially be good and interesting. A lot of that's going to depend on the shooting clicking. And I mean, that's a whole separate conversation with Fears, even from Queen, although I think his mid-range has looked pretty good and pretty comfortable for him. I mean, every single one looks like a different shot, so I don't think that's a great sign, but he's hitting enough of them that I feel okay about where that part of everything is. Pelicans
are doing the bare minimum. Congrats. Let's shift now to another team trying to figure itself out on the fly here and play through some injuries. We got to talk about the Charlotte Hornets. And first and foremost, our guy, Con Knipple, who, whenever I say his name, I think of the British Bake Off voice saying it. He just sounds like an English pastry.
A pastry you've literally never heard of that no one in any country around the world has ever eaten except for the Brits somehow.
You need to make 12 con knipples.
What do you think is in a con nipple?
Jesus.
Buttercream. American buttercream.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a rough puff situation. I think
Yes.
American buttercream. Jesus Christ.
I love that Rob dared you to continue doing that, and you did. I appreciate your commitment.
Your con knipples must space the floor and include gelatin.
Oh, okay. Well,
Too much. We went too
No,
far.
too much. That was good.
No.
Oh, I was proud of that one. Anyway, so Con Knipple had 30 there against Miami. Pretty good.
he did in the absence of our boy LaMelo. He's our boy. I think we could all agree.
Yeah, well,
In the extended absence of our other boy, Brandon Miller. Like they needed a lot from him. And I think he acclimated himself pretty well to a level of usage and role that he hadn't been filling this season.
Well, let's start here, Kyle, because you had floated the idea during last draft cycle that Knipple could be potentially a point guard for Duke. I doubt he would be that at this level, but can a Miller, Knipple plus another guy be enough as a timeshare if they were to ever trade LaMelo? Has he shown enough, or is he starting to show enough? It's only been 10 games, we should mention, in order to like perhaps assume that sort of role.
Wait, we just said LaMelo is our guy, and you're trying to trade him?
We're going to trade him.
I shook my
I
head.
mean, Con looks
No
that
guy.
good, I think, right?
I told you I was out after the Sixers shot. I'm taking a break.
This is ridiculous.
You got to, if you're going to go with LaMelo, be a LaMelo boy, you got to sign up for all, but you can't be wishy-washy. Yeah, Con, this was something that during the process, I think in the fall, I had been watching a lot of his tape coming up to that, like I think it was even before the Champions Classic. It's like their first game. I had watched him operate with the ball in his hands enough to watch him use his weight in the mid-range and play it, take a drink, play off 2 feet thing that people have said over and over and over and over again. But he was really good at bumping and getting to his own shot. I'd seen him pass. Now, I'm not going to act like he's some technician who's the most manipulative, creative passer ever. He has limitations in terms of things that he can get to, but he feels the flow of the game in a way I think that is pretty, there's not a lot of latency there. Like he's up to speed. He can hit shots. He also is just really good about knowing when to head, like when to move on and when to dribble the ball and like seek something out. Like, because he's one of my favorite things about Con is when he back screens you feel it. Like, and he really leans into using that. So he might dribble the ball and throw a lob. He's just very invested in small parts of the game. So you don't see wastefulness from him. But to answer your question, I mean, I think with a smaller slice of the pie, taking maybe not full ownership like he did against Miami, I think he's absolutely capable of that. It's going to be bumpy for a while, but he's shown to me that he has kind of all the aspects going like for it.
Yeah, I think what makes him exciting is the idea that he could play different roles for a team at different phases of the game, right? Like he's one of these guys who could be a primary for a stretch with the bench unit, a secondary with someone like LaMelo or whoever. Like he just could fit into a lot of different circumstances. And it's because of all that stuff Kyle just laid out, like all of the little ways in which you make yourself more than just a shooter. And some of that is the screening, which not only does he lean into that, the Hornets have really leaned into that and using him in that way. Some of it is like, I found him to be a surprisingly competitive and physical rebounder, just like pulling the ball away from bigger, stronger guys who should be boxing him out but aren't. And so if you're bringing all these other things to the table, you can live with the ebbs and flows of who you are as a shooter and scorer. Although at this point, they're kind of all flows. Which is the good one? Flows are the good one?
Flow.
Yeah. I mean, he's pure flow right now. Like the shot is looking really silky, really good. I think there's a lot to his all-around game to recommend, even that goes above and beyond all that.
Yeah, so 3 straight 20 or more point games on the record here. All of those happen to be without LaMelo Ball. Let's just put that in the old notebook. But you're right. It's just like the intuitive play that just jumps out for him. To Kyle's point, like he's very like compact, like just like very stout. And he knows how to just like use that to get a low center of gravity. Like there was a couple of plays where he tipped it away on Khalil Ware, who is just all athleticism and just like a freak athlete. But Khan is just like smart and knows how to play the angles and the timing. And he did it again where he tied him up and like blocked him. And so he's just like, he's constantly making solid plays. He's not going to give you a lot of sizzle. There aren't going to be a lot of just like highlight plays, for instance. But like in conjunction, Kyle, with someone like Miller, for instance, or what will perhaps come later, it makes a lot of sense. He seems like he could just do a lot of different things, and that type of player is going to be effective no matter how or where you put him.
I think if you're going to lean into the sort of the ball zipping around, these guys can hit crazy dribble pull-up stuff. These guys can rocket off of screens and make just really creative plays. I think it makes sense to have, if you have somebody, getting someone who has a high sort of baseline of skill the way that Kahn does. And I think Kahn and Kalkbrenner, I was talking to a buddy this weekend about those two guys. They just have a really high slugging percentage on unremarkable plays. Like they just set like Kalkbrenner's even more boring than Kahn, which we can get to. But that to me just makes the most sense. And there was a play. It was offensively. He got by Davion, which we know no small feat, but at his body type was just interesting. He sold him sort of a head and shoulder fake with the three, which obviously he hits them. So in transition, I had it pulled up from three in transition. He's almost at 47%. So he's knocking them down. And then he did like a long stride and just did one of those like where you don't even really push it. You just kind of teardrop it off the high glass over Khalil Ware. And I was like, at his stature and stuff like that, you just don't see a lot of guys who are able to do that. Like, it's not the most creative thing in the world. But on defense, though, I was going to say he's a little more fleet of foot, I think, than he gets credit for. He's not a big gambler, like, and if you run into him, he's solid, man. He's only going to get stronger.
Well, it's all an extension of what we've been talking about as far as like all of these seemingly relatively minor contributions that sum up into just playing good basketball. And it is frankly alarming to see people in a Charlotte Hornets jersey who do that. Like to the whiplash from Tijan Solon to this in terms of just like readiness to play NBA basketball is striking.
Yeah, they got scared straight.
They kind of like just draft people who could play. Like it's not a remarkable concept. I understand sometimes you want to take the big swing on the project and the potential, but sometimes you just pick the guy who can play.
Well, Kalkbrenner, I guess, fits that. Currently shooting 81.3% from the field.
Seems good.
Seems pretty good. Now, he has taken 48 total shots. How many of them are outside of the restricted circle? Not just outside of the paint, but outside of the restricted circle?
2, maybe?
5.
Okay, yeah.
So, yes, but outside of the paint itself, just 3. So, it's all catch ball, dunk ball. But when you're that tall, it's effective.
He does not even think about stepping outside his role, does not even consider the possibility. It has never occurred to him to do it.
There's institutionalized.
There's something admirable about that, but also constraining in that, clearly. Like who he could ultimately be, I have no idea, because we've barely seen him even attempt anything. But who he is right now, this sort of like low mistake, high efficiency sort of big who, yes, they're all coming from the restricted area. Some of them are spoon fed. Some of them are on the roll. A lot of them are on the offensive glass, which like that's a huge addition that he can bring to the game. If he's that active on the glass for the majority of his career, that's a big thing. But like, again, this is a team that needed some of that kind of stability at the 5. They'll take anything to fill out the rotation minutes. And the fact that Kalkbrenner's been able to fill them so reliably, I mean, that's manna from heaven by Hornet standards.
I think something for Kalkbrenner, and I think he learned this. Granted, he's older. He's pushing 24 years old. So I think when we compare him to, not that we're going to do it on this show, but like somebody like Kaman Malawach, who's a baby, or just some of these younger players, it's like, I think Kalkbrenner had a long time to kind of learn in college how to just pick his battles wisely. He doesn't. You were talking about going for everything the way Missy does. Kalkbrenner knows I'm gigantic, which I don't think people realize just how big he is. He's like 7'2" and change with +4 wingspan. So gigantic hands. He's really tall. He just knows.
He's listed at 7. I was watching him out there. I was like, this guy's like 7'4".
He's a big old boy. Yeah.
Maybe he's just like so lean that like he just seems taller as a result because he just looks like Slender Man or something.
Yeah. The beanpole effect.
Is that what they call it?
I don't know. I just made it up. It is now.
That was a
copyright on that bad boy.
I mean, with that barefooted, he was 7'1" at the combine, so he's at least that. So I think he just knows he's a big obstacle, and I think when you watch him, He's like, no, I mean, if you come in here, I'm just going to I'm not going to like jump and dive at your shot. But you see him affect shots. Really, you just see him kind of compress the court up the lane. I mean, people get him. He's not the fastest guy in the world.
No.
People go around him. But he sort of turns what would be paint attempts into contested, 10 to 15 foot attempts, and you see that repeatedly. And for a team like the Hornets, that's my question for you all was like early in the year, I think it was Bill and I were talking about it. I was like, well, ideally you'd have him like in your rotation on like a good team. Do we think that Kalkbrenner is capable of being a starting level or is he a rotation level big on a, like, can you imagine him battling Hartenstein and Chet for 7 games? A little tougher on that front. He's probably tough. But I'll toss it to you all on that.
Yeah, because he's bigger than he is necessarily physical. Like, he's not a bruiser per se. He is long and he is active. And yeah, his mobility has its limitations in a way that I think would really rear their ugly head if you ask him to do way too much on a team that's actually competing for something. Maybe on a good team, he's like, again, like a version of Kalkbrenner down the line on a good team maybe is like Luke Cornett, right? Like filling that sort of role, coming off the bench, maybe spot starting while some other guy is injured for 15 games in the middle of the season. But ultimately, like, this is who he is, right? Like we're seeing the parameters, we're seeing some of the constraints. I would like to see him round out and add some things, but also I don't know how realistic that is. Like, I don't know where to forecast growth that would allow him to be that kind of guy.
Does he have to? That's what I would ask you.
He doesn't.
It was basically a free agency signing. That's what we were joking at the draft. Like, I thought the Hawks might go for him. I was just like, this is a free agent big that's going to play. Like, yeah.
I could see Kalkbrenner ultimately ending up as like the 4th big, so perhaps not being like a steady 3-man rotation, but he is the guy you count on when you just need what he provides, which is just rim protection and just the big old target.
Yeah.
It would be nice
on the rim protection front. Like, he is literally second in the NBA in blocks right now.
Yes. Very like real Walker Kessler type shit right now. And so like if he has like a defined skill, he'll find a place for it. But otherwise you're like wondering, when you get diminished into a role and when you're coming off the bench, you kind of really need to pop in a certain area. And like, if he doesn't have stretch, like we can't just turn to him to provide something. But if he can continue to protect the rim at this rate, like I think there's going to be a place for him on rosters for a while.
Definitely.
But we should talk about the last guy on the vaunted Charlotte Hornets rookie class. Another Duke guy, Sion James, right?
Sion James. Yeah.
I'm never going to get that right. Tell us about Sion.
Look, I have a lot of respect for both of the guys we've talked about. Con Knuppel, Ryan Kalkbrenner.
Oh no!
Interesting
young
players.
You about to drop a hammer?
This is my guy. Sion James is unequivocally one of my guys. Like, I love watching him play, and I get the sneaking suspicion based on his like creeping minutes total that Charles Lee is having the same relationship with watching Sion James play that I am, which is, you just come to the realization that the Hornets play their best basketball with him on the floor. Like, the energy, the defense, the fact that he is making every goddamn shot he takes, which I don't know if that's a thing I can expect to continue, but it's happening right now. Another guy who just makes like good adult decisions on the floor. And I am locked into the Sion James experience as a like high effort defender who's taking on difficult assignments, who's contributing to the flow of the offense and hitting all these shots. Like, what's not to like about a player like that?
Yeah, this won't continue, but he is.
In terms of the shot,
the shooting,
or which
not
thing?
Overall, the shot on.
You don't think he's going to shoot 60% from 3 for the season?
64.7% on his spot up looks right now. No, I mean,
it's crazy.
If he's open 1-2, I mean, he can hit shots. Like, there's no doubt about it. He's the body type. I think I'm outing myself as sort of a soft finesse scorer. He's the body type that when they show up at the gym, I'm just like, oh man, like he's the type that you just can't get away from. If he's involved in a play,
yes,
it's that Drew like fire hydrant. Just
even bigger, like wing/tank is his official position, I would say.
So and he's a ball mover too. Yeah.
Kyle's revealing is he's not about that smoke, you know.
He is a finesse
about
player.
that action.
You
he
came
really
close to saying something else, but yeah. No, he just seems like he'd be annoying just because if he's for guys who want to get downhill, it's just you're not gonna bounce off of him. You're gonna hit him and just die because he's got that kind of frame. And it's the same thing as Kalkbrenner. I think they've just added. I kept using the word sanity. They just keep using these guys who don't have notions about who they are that need to be disabused, which I think in and of itself is just wastefulness is something that kills a lot of NBA careers, because these guys have ambition, which is, great, but to hang around in this job market, you just see guys like this emerge. And Will Richard, who I'm sure will mention at least in passing, another guy like that. But
yes.
These are adults, to use the word again.
Yeah. Good job, Hornets. Just hitting singles. Look at you.
Maybe doubles.
Could be doubles.
Get MJ out of there.
Before we get into the kind of the grab bag section, wanted to talk briefly about VJ Edgecombe, who we've talked about a couple pods already at this point, but just keeps doing stuff. I have in my notes mostly Dothraki war cries, because that's just all that he elicits from me. Do you guys have anything
out? Like you wrote them out? That's what that's where that sounds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, let's go, and different capitalizations. Like every time's a new one.
That's a lot for you. Like, not a lot of players get that kind of reaction from Justin Verrier. So I'm impressed. I'm intrigued.
Especially outside of Portland.
I mean, look at that. Oh, yeah, unless you're Denny Avdia. Come on.
No, he wishes. Let me tell you.
You did bring it up. You're right.
But do you guys have any other like newer notes on stuff he's doing?
I just keep waiting for the shoe to, like, not the other shoe to drop. Like, I'm waiting for the reality check on the shooting in particular. And I know he's maybe kind of hitting it now in a way where the threes are finally starting to whiff. But I just don't know what to expect from him in that particular regard, because the version of the Sixers that has a Tyrese Maxey and a VJ Edgecombe, who is a dynamite creator and a perimeter shooter, is dramatically different from the one who is just, Tyrese Maxey and this great slasher next to him, or Tyrese Maxey and this, compelling scorer and creator who has these other holes in his game. Like that's kind of the thing I'm watching. And his makes were so anchored early and have kind of tapered off late, where I'm waiting to see what the regularized version of VJ looks like.
Yeah, I mean, for me watching him last year, I was like, this is a guy who, I didn't know how dynamic a shooter he was going to be, and I didn't know how dynamic a handle he would have. And granted, it's just really hard, and it's something that you have to kind of do every year when you watch some of these guys. Just imagine them in better space. And I feel like the looks that he's getting, the straight line drives, I think we're just seeing the strongest strengths in his bag really pop. Like we were talking about how he caught that ball off of a attacking a closeout off of a catch, and he just did one of the nastier like Euros where his body bent like a spring into the lane, and it was very Dwayne Wade-esque. And when he's doing those types of things in space, for me, I'm like, can he be much more than like just a simple attacker whenever he's operating in a ball screen? Is he going to be somebody that can really hold court and really orchestrate for like a whole possession? I don't know, but I also don't know that he necessarily has to. The shooting, I'm kind of with you, Rob. I'm like, is it going to come back? I mean, he's at about 40% on spot ups. When he was shooting the ball well in summer league, when he shot the ball really, really well, when he was shooting those like mid-range kind of coming off curls and things like that, I immediately just said to myself, because I ended up having him at 5, and I was just like, shit. Like the one thing that because that was the wager whenever we were talking about him. I'm like, is he going to be able to dribble and is he going to be able to shoot? I was like, I feel like he's probably in that supportive, but I'm moving more in the direction of like, it's on the table that he could become a star, like for real.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, obviously not a hot take.
Yeah, he was isolating against Brandon Ingram in crunch time. It was just like, and he looked completely comfortable. He like just pulled up on him and just shot it over him. It was a real like winner versus loser shit going on here, because then Brandon Ingram was on the other end of the court like smashing bottles because he fucked up a play and making like the attendants pick it up, which was like complete horseshit. And I thought,
I was gonna say,
really embarrassing.
I don't think an apology in private is acceptable in that situation. I don't want to hear that like, oh, he went to him and apologized, blah blah blah. You can't humiliate your team, like your someone, your coworker, like that. Like it's over. Like you shouldn't have done that. Like that. I was really, really, really put off by that.
All right, let's go to kind of like notes and other stuff that we've been picking up here. Should we start with Ace Bailey? Or I think like the fact that we haven't talked about him at this point is probably tells the tale there. Just like all the swagger from preseason just completely just disappeared. He looks lost out there. It almost feels like, Kyle, they're like trying to shoehorn him into a role perhaps and make him earn things by playing the right way. And he just is like kind of stuck as a result.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be tough if you're really only about, I was watching the algo suggested a Nick Nurse clinic, and it wasn't too long. I was like,
I mean, that algorithm's got you fucking pegged. Let's
I
be
was
honest
like,
about
let me check. It was attacking switches, and Nick Nurse just got talking about, if you're not going to do this, if you're not going to do this, he was basically like, if you're not going to attack the rim, if you're not going to be passing the ball, if you're only going to be wanting to take these types of tough shots. And I was like, damn, that sounds a lot like Ace Bailey. And it was like from the summer where I was like, oh, is he just sort of revealing his inner, monologue, dialogue, whatever it is about who they were going to pick? Ace is just really, he has a narrow sort of thing that he does. He's a shot maker. And I thought when I was looking at this team, I don't think that they're asking him to do more role wise. I mean, maybe in terms of, because every time he dribbles the ball, something bad seems to happen.
Yeah. If anything, like Justin's saying, they're asking him to do less role wise. Like they kind of like all the preseasons,
probably,
yes, like run a lot of off ball action, a lot of running through the curls in a way that like leans him less like shot maker and more just like average NBA shooter. Like it's weirdly leaning away from the things he was supposedly good at, which was already not the most versatile skill set.
Well, what is he not doing that we think he should be doing?
I'm not even saying that.
Oh,
it seems like he's butting up against the structure that they're trying to instill when it feels like he's at his best, just like letting it rip.
In terms of we're like creating for himself. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah.
Like, because I just don't.
Yeah, this is the conundrum. Like, will he ever be good enough at that to justify doing it? Versus, is it a worthy endeavor to try to slowly nudge him and mold him into being a different kind of player? Like, I think it's worth the experiment.
Well, I mean, you could also look at this the other way, where it's like, what did Utah expect when they reached in order to get him in there, when they basically dragged him kicking and screaming to Utah? And also, like, they kind of buried him with all these guys. Like, Utah is crazy, where it's like some of the guys that they drafted more recently, like Cody Williams and some of these other guys, probably aren't going to pan out, but they just have guys on top of guys on top of guys that at the very least need minutes in order to find themselves. Like, and so Kessler goes down, and it's a bummer. But at the same time, like, Bailey needs to play, and like, so if you could find more minutes for him and allow him to butt up against the fine structure of your offense, like, he needs to be able to adjust to that or plow through it and be like beyond it. And he needs minutes to do that. And so, like, I could see it both ways, honestly.
I guess it just depends on what kind of lab you want him to have, because if you want him to do things where he has the ball and he's making decisions, I would just be like, all right, SLC stars is down the hall. Like, it's going to be bad. I mean, unless I wouldn't want to put Jazz fans through that again after what they losing the lottery odds the way that they did. They got screwed this year. So granted, they're probably going to try to do it again anyway. It's interesting because players like this, even if they have the ambition to do more, I mean, we've seen with MPJ how well and how like a great player sort of implied a role for him that suited him best as a cutter, it's very, very similar. Yeah. And then we see what happens whenever they do get the freedom that they do so desperately want. Mm-hmm. MPJ got a little quieter about that over the years as the wins piled up, and things like that. But
so did Justin's dear friend Jeremy Grant. Like, it's hard out there in the wilderness creating for yourself.
And I was watching the Nets tonight, and we were getting a little taste of what MPJ with freedom looks like. And my man, yes, it's rough. So for me, he just needs to, they're going to have to try to find ways for him to create productivity. And like when he's active on the glass, he looks amazing. Whenever he's like active as a cutter, getting easy baskets, things like that, that's where I think he needs to lean into to take some pressure off of the shots going in. Because I do think the shots are going to go in. He's a really talented shooter.
There's lots of ways to do it. Yeah, I mean, we just laid out like 15 different things that Con Knipple is doing. Like, if you do 3 of those things as Ace Bailey, you're stabilizing your game in a really important way. But I'm glad you brought up MPJ, Kyle. Like, the visual similarity is also kind of striking just because of his size. He's not quite as big as MPJ is, but the potential, he's huge, and the potential for a great contested 3-point shooter is there. Hopefully in a more of a spot up capacity, right? Like, of kick and hitting tough shots against closeouts, that could be Ace Bailey. He's not hitting those shots right now. I actually think there is something to commend him for in playing this role, and at least from the outside, like, doesn't seem to be making a terrible stink of any of it. Like, for a guy who has the ambitions that he does, like, this situation could look and feel very differently. Right now, it feels disappointing because the shots aren't falling and his game feels limited, but it doesn't feel disappointing because he's in a active mutiny.
Yeah. I just don't know what Utah expected. Like, we knew that this is a guy who would want a starring opportunity. And if he is butting up against that, then like that's what you're getting. And what we've seen thus far in the early returns, the minutes are minuscule relative to like what other guys are getting. It's like 20 on most nights. Sometimes he's in the teens. And so like he's not getting a full run. It's just like, I don't know what else Utah is doing if not like allowing him opportunities to be the star, but also like focusing on the role. I think you could do both at once because to Rob's point about like the size, like he was up there against Naz Reid and like they look similar size. Like Johan Berenger, they're like pretty similar.
Well, that game is the example of how you get him more burn and opportunity. You lose to everyone by 30 like they did to the Timberwolves, and then all of a sudden there's lots of shots for Ace Bailey.
Yeah. All right, who else do you guys want to hit here?
We have to at least talk about Trey Johnson, right?
I forget he's on the court every time I watch the Wizards.
It's not funny because I said that last season at times when he was at Texas, where I'd be like, man, I'm just like, it's a similar kind of thing with Ace at times where it's like Trey is a similar kind of talented shot maker the same way Ace is. I would say Trey is probably a little more dynamic than Ace, but when it's the same kind of thing where if he's not making shots or doing that, you can forget that he's out here. Granted, I mean, the Wizards also have a lot of talented wings kind of clustered in a little group there.
They really do. I mean, the one thing that gives me reason for optimism with Trey is that when he does catch the ball, when it swings to him, his only thought is not shoot. Like he is trying to read for the best scoring opportunity in a way that I think it leans out of shooter and into scorer in a way that is a little bit more all around that I think that gives you something to build on. But he's not a playmaker. He's not going to be a rebounder. He's not going to he doesn't show really much aptitude for defense right now. Maybe that will change down the line. And so it's like if you aren't hitting, it is incredibly limiting to your game. I just hope he gets to that sort of all around scorer level, even if it's in more of an off ball cutting and moving kind of capacity that gives him something to work with. Because right now it's nice when the shots fall. It's fine enough. It's not an outright disaster. It just feels a little hollow.
He seems bored out there a lot of the times. And so I worry like if his future lies in being an off-ball movement guy and those guys are running just like basically marathons in a given game, like he needs to be more active about it because it just seems like he's floating out there a lot of the times.
That's exactly what I was going to say is that he's got to just become one of these he's got to become one of these Iron Man and lean into that because I think that's I think that is the simple trade that he could build his career on and then just stack things on top of that because he's shown little flourishes of getting off the ball. He started to show those things at Texas towards the end of the year. The thing is, like he would get really frustrated at Texas and just clap for the ball like every time down. I don't know if Rob watched his Texas Longhorns.
I try not to watch Longhorns basketball as much as possible.
Well, he would just clap for the ball because on that team, him shooting every single time, there was a decent argument for that. With the Wizards, it's kind of like we're starting to see it's a fledgling sort of identity. You know, it's still a ways away, but to me, that absolutely is what he should be doing is leaning into that lifestyle and not be like, okay, I'll eventually be like a pick and roll guy. It's like, no, I think the thing that you could really trade on is that because he's not a crazy bendy athlete. He's not a crazy get into the lane and the passing and all that stuff. I would lean more towards that if I were him.
I love that concept of like an endurance specialist. Like there really is a lane for that kind of skill set if you are willing to put in the work to do it. Historically, lots of guys think they're about that particular life and then go work out with Steph one time and throw up in a trash can. So we'll see what Trey wants to do with his career and if ultimately that's a path that's interesting to him.
Yeah, it's hard for him right now to clap for the ball because Cam Whitmore is too busy going 1-on-4 every single time out there.
He's hilarious to watch.
Damn.
But it does feel like Cam Whitmore has been told, like, if you get a rebound, you can do whatever the fuck you want with it. Like,
who told him that?
I don't know.
Himself?
Somebody did.
What if it came out that Cam Whitmore had been playing with like noise canceling earbuds or something? And everybody,
I would 100% believe it. Cam Whitmore has pioneered technology that allows him to wear an AirPod during a game. Yes.
Why don't we flip now to the defensive specialists? Colin Murray Boyles. We got to talk about him, right? He jumps off the page in some of these games lately.
You sounded like you had like wine in your mouth when you Colin. What was you? Really,
Colin
really,
Murray Burr.
Thank you, sir. Rob, what do you got to say about Colin Murray-Boyles? I'm curious. I've said a lot. You go.
I'm delighted, frankly. I'm glad to see him out there. For everything that is starting to turn right for the Raptors, and I think they're a team that's starting to figure it out, I think their offense is coalescing a little better than their defense is at this particular point in time.
Minus us calling Brandon Ingram a loser, basically.
I remain not a fan. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. But I really love what Colin Murray-Boyles does defensively. The activity, like the hands. Again, it's just that you can tell when these guys are plugged into the instincts of how to play on one side of the ball or the other. And he just gets it. Like, he just has a natural template for how to affect the ball and affect possessions in a way that not a lot of guys do. Certainly not a lot of young players do.
Someone posed the question to me this weekend that who is the Raptors' highest basketball IQ player?
Garrett
Temple.
Look at us. Look at us.
There we go.
Among the guys who are in the rotation, I think it might be Colin Murray-Boyles. I really do. Granted, I was very high on his basketball IQ in general.
Scotty's been really good. He's had a really good season overall, I would say.
Yeah.
And
Scotty's coming back.
The shot's coming back for sure. And yes, if we're talking about like defense and offense cohesively, there are times where Scotty Barnes is a great defender, and there are times where he's like a little absent, and bridging the gap is a huge thing for him.
No, wait, don't take what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's a team of dummies. I'm just saying
literally what you just said.
I'm saying CMB is also the detonator's just not taking off. I thought it was a good name. Can you guys?
You tried to pilot this last year.
Judge,
right?
Can you all be the court here and be honest? Can you be a friend to me and be honest? I mean, is it bad? Because
it's not catchy.
It's not bad. It just doesn't work.
What I think it works because he blows shit up. That was my argument. Basic argument. He blows plays up. He's a very,
See, what you're trying to do is you're trying to pilot a nickname, but also introduce a concept. The concept has to exist, and you need to pyramid on that with a nice catchy pun.
Yeah.
For instance, I suggested that his nickname should be Chonkosaurus because he's a chonky boy.
That's just not even.
You should jump off a bridge.
If you look at him, he's a chonker, which is fine.
Not,
we're all
though.
built differently, and so
visually he is not a chonky guy.
Established.
Hold on a minute.
Hold
on a minute. I say the detonator with a clear, which to me, I think that sounds like an action movie, and I'm like, here's why. Justin hits me back with yours doesn't work. How about the Chonkosaurus?
It's awful.
We call this professional athlete kind of fat.
One of the worst things you've ever done, Justin, introduce this nickname. He's
a stout boy.
Look, he is stout in a way, but I wouldn't call him chonky.
He's thick.
What is this chonky? Is it
don't
chunky?
know.
I've never even heard people say chonky. What even is
like a
this
cutesy
about?
version of chunky.
Yeah. Justin is nothing if not cutesy.
You all went to better schools than me. I don't. This is
That's
one
not.
I'm gonna
they weren't teaching that one in the schools. I can assure you.
But it's also twofold because not only the body type that we've established here, but also like he's
the
vicious.
Raptor. Oh,
no,
I thought you were going with that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, yeah, I was going Raptor. Yeah.
I don't think any of this
Embiid
works.
was like backing down someone. He smelled chum in the water, went right after him and just kind of like ripped it from him. And I know Embiid's in a different state of his career. He's barely moving at this point, but like he's going after it, man.
He demoralizes people. I mean, when he gets his hand on the ball, it is his. I mean, he's like one of those. He's got that. Kawhi's the master, obviously the highest version of that. But it's just he's got those just vice hands. Some of those dudes have that when they get in a scrum for the ball. It's like Colin Murray-Boyles is probably coming out with it, and he's a really good passer. He's just a little undersized, like figuring out how to score and things like that. But man,
offense is brutal.
It's tough.
Yeah, it's going to be like he's going to have to find something in the feel, right? Like just digging up random points from being in the flow of things. But it's clear he's not like quite as plugged into the rhythms of the game on that, and that's okay. Like he'll make those good passes you're talking about. He will make good effort plays. It's just going to be a more natural defensive game for him. And the good news is he feels like one of those sort of like Rosetta Stone, I can kind of guard anybody sort of defenders. Like anyone you need me to over the course of this possession, I can handle it. And that's a really exciting place for a young player to be.
Yeah, he was so good defensively that they left him out there for crunch time against the Sixers. But the flip side of that is they had to go offensive defense because his offense, he's punting at this point. And that's the problem with the Raptors overall. There isn't like a natural fit for him to be that small ball, like Draymond type of five, because the shooting just isn't there to support it. Like the Raptors offense has been good thus far, we should mention, but like I do think there is a trade-off there when you start like changing up like sort of the rotation, who goes where, then it could fall apart pretty easily. So We'll see. Anybody else you guys want to hear? Any sleepers? Any just like notes on other first round guys?
I mean, the Nets drafted 5 rookies and then barely play any of them.
Well, they're not even on the big league club, most of them.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, they're going back and forth.
Just living in Long Island at this point. I don't get it. I don't like are the Zaire Williams minutes that sacred? Like, will your franchise fall apart if you don't play Jalen Wilson? Like, is that a thing that you're worried about?
If you have a certain non-winning agenda, I could see how they would be sacred.
But wouldn't the non-winning agenda also be served by like force-feeding Drake Powell whatever it is he needs to grow up and be a big, strong NBA pro?
Can't risk him being good. We got to keep tagging him out there.
God forbid.
Did play 23 minutes tonight, so
okay, that's good. That's a start.
He's getting some run. My defense of the Nets was always like, what were they going to do with this season anyway? But you're right. Like, for that reason, why aren't these guys just playing against NBA competition?
They don't even have Cam Thomas anymore. Like, any baked in excuse to not play the rookies is gone.
Yegor was averaging going into tonight's game one shot a game inside the arc, which is insane. It's a weird team.
There's also a lot of Nick Claxton happening. Like, there's a lot of like, we're just going to trust Nick Claxton to make plays and bring the ball up. And I understand why every big in the world wants to do that stuff. It's fun to do it. But where is it taking you when you're actually invested in the like supposed development of someone like Yegor Dioman, who is one of the ball handlers, but like barely one of the ball handlers?
No, Clowney still like 3 years away.
Yeah, and still only like 20 years old.
I actually kind of like the Noah Clowney minutes. You know what?
I've always liked him.
I'm gently encouraged by what Noah Clowney has shown us.
There's one for
Yegor is a super talented like creator and decision maker. It's just the scoring pressure isn't there, and that's the sad thing you see sometimes with some of these guys who can really pass it, is that if you can't create that tension, we never get to see it. But his shot, the optics of it looks fine. Like, you know what I mean? I could see him getting it's not broken to the point where, you know, I think he can be just absolutely ignored. I don't know, man. It's like, what do you do with a great decision maker on a team that won't give him the ball and doesn't have any kind of identity? It's being wasted. So it's hard to make any sense of the Nets, and maybe they want it that way. I don't know.
Well, I guess if a lottery pick misses a bunch of threes and there's no one there to hear it, like, does it really make a sound? I don't know.
One of life's great questions, Justin.
Yeah. I was going to say Will Richard's the only other one that I think is, you know, if Will Richard is the kid in class who, you know, the teacher is like, hey, this kid is an example, like just trying to get the other students to work harder. You know, it's just like, man, he's just got a lot of energy out there. I mean, in transition, he's just kind of talking about carving it. Granted, he's in a way different situation than Ace, but just finding a small thing and buying in and really, you know, granted, he's a guy who, older rookie, came in, played, you know, came off national championship at Florida. He's just doing the things and making threes and running in transition. And I was going to say, who do you all think that was that aimed at Moody, or was that aimed at Bajimski? Who do you think that mandate from, or that warning from Kerr?
Oh, I didn't even see this warning.
Well, he basically used Richard as a as sort of a fall in line kind of a thing, because no one's minutes are safe because Richard's coming for your ass, basically. And I don't know.
Ben Cruz, our producer, says it was Bajemski, which makes sense because Kerr's always throwing him under the bus.
It's just a constant tension point within the Warriors of like, what is going on between Steve Kerr and Brandon Bajemski? Like, you can see it on the court in terms of the way he's used and deployed. Like, it never quite tracks. But Will Richard is such a Steve Kerr player, and like such a natural fit for this team. And it's frankly amazing that they were just able to kind of dig him up and throw him in here, and it's worked out so perfectly. Like, I think the effort thing is what stands out, and that's not just a Bajemski issue. Like, there is a kind of more pervasive Warriors thing happening where these guys are like maybe sleepwalking a little bit more than they should, maybe resting on some of the laurels of knowing how talented and good they are, and not taking every possession with the intensity and the urgency that it may require, even in the regular season. Will Richard does not have that problem. So I understand Steve Kerr throwing him on the poster and pointing him out as the best child in class.
Fun class. I'm excited to keep tracking these guys. We'll do this again probably in another month or two, just to check in. That's it for these chunky boys here.
See, you can call us that. That's
just
fine.
Chunky.
Chunky's just, it's a term. The kids are saying
chunky.
The kids are not saying it.
The kids are saying it.
Are
When
they?
was the last time you were around the kids, Justin? Answer
Don't
into
answer
this.
that. Don't
Answer into
that.
this.
As
Answer
your
into
lawyer,
this corsage.
don't
That
answer
is
it.
not a tape recorder. Yeah, when was the last time?
That's it for us.
Officer.
Thank you to Ben Cruz. Thank you to Isaiah Blakely. Thank you to Victoria Valencia. We'll be back on Wednesday. Talk to you then. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.